All right, so when we look at pictures like this, where Obama did say this, today there is no greater threat to our planet than climate change. And so when we look at this, right, what do we see? Well, we see to the average person, we'll look at that and say, oh, look at that, he's an idiot, he's a clown, he's this or that. But you should have come far enough by now to understand who the clowns are. And we know that that's the Jews, right? They're the clowns, the troublemakers, the ones that upset everything. So when we look at the picture, we know that this guy, whoever put this on him, and I'm sure it was put on there intentionally, with the idea of what I'm trying to tell you, not the idea that most people get in their heads. When they talk about climate change, and it's been, they got all these meetings of climate this and climate that, and remember I told you this place runs in a cycle. And when something runs in a cycle, what happens in a cycle? Well, you could say it goes from this point to this point, or from this to that, or from here to there, right? So what would climate change really be? Well, their fear of climate change is not that the polar ice caps are melting. Climate change is the climate into people's intellect. The fact that people are starting to understand that they've been fucked. That's the climate change. That's a phrase that they use broadly to describe how people are seeing things. So there's a climate change amongst the people, and the people are now starting to question things and look at things. And so this is dangerous to them, the clowns. And so in order to bring that to the attention of all the people that are involved with the clowns, they write one story. They do this all the time. They write one story and assign it to nature, when in fact it's the false reality that we live in. And so that climate change is what's scary to them. Not polar bears standing on frickin' ice caps. And this even came up the other day. Let me see if I can find it. Hang on. So here's on the hearings to fill Trump's cabinet or whatever. And this guy, just understand when they talk about climate change, they're talking about people's perception of how this place really works and how people are becoming wise to the old lies. And so listen to what he says. That's why Obama's dressed like a clown.
As an engineer and a scientist, understanding the evolution of the science.
Understanding the evolution of the science.
Came to the conclusion a few years ago that the risk of climate change does exist, and that the consequences of it could be serious enough that action should be taken.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly my point. So in other words, what's being said here is that they know that people are starting to wake up to the fact that shit ain't the way they thought it was. And in other words, even in this video, understanding that climate change, the word climate is referring to something different than what they told you it was. Again, deceiving you. Okay, and there's a couple other things I'll show you guys later, but I just wanted to show this to you now. Today, there is no greater threat to our planet than climate change. Well, who's our planet? Who's our planet? Well, he's dressed like a clown. And who does a clown represent? Oh, our friends, the Red Sea pedestrians, and seems that it's our planet, meaning their planet. The climate change is referring to the status of the Jews, not to the polar bears standing on a melting piece of ice. This is just code. And we all know that they speak in code. They never say things plainly. There's climate change. Because people are getting wise to the bullshit they pulled. And this is, I gotta tell you, this was a long time coming. So that's why I told you Israel has an ass kicking coming to it. Whether you're for them or against them, it really has nothing to do with it, because this was set in motion a long time ago. But this isn't really about Israel. That's just who he represents, and the climate change, you know, is the videos about how words have been twisted. How words have been twisted to make you think one thing, but really mean another. And if we look at his flower here, of course he's going to wear one like that. Of course he's going to wear one like that. This is so, it's so, on some level, it becomes so silly. Power, climate change. It's all about energy. But people are getting wise. The climate change, the perception, the people, things are changing. The climate change. So it's just a code word for the state of the people, the state of the, you know, they give the State of the Union address. Yeah, but it's our planet, right? Isn't that what they said? So you got the clown, who represents the Jews, and the archons. There is no greater threat to our planet. It doesn't say your planet. It's just like the Constitution. We, the people. Well, what people are we talking about? Well, that they were talking about themselves. So it's our planet. The Jews and the archons. It has nothing to do with you. They could care less what happens to you. Why is it our planet? Well, it's because it's a chosen land. Did you ever see... Oh, let me just pull it up real quick. Let me pull this thing on. So here we see Mel Brooks, Jewish comedian, and he did a little skit called Jews in Space.
Jews in space! See?
So the question is, do you see Jews in space? Which always made me wonder about the story about the Jews in the desert for 40 years. You're telling me I could walk across the desert in less time than 40 years. So, you know, where are these fuckers really from? This cube with this circle in it, that's atomic energy. So there's a bunch of shit being said right here. But when they say our planet, they're not talking to you. They don't mean you. He's not talking to the American people. He's talking to his buddies. They do it in a format that it makes it look like you're included. Like when the president comes out and throws the first pitch at a baseball game. That makes people think, oh, he's one of us. No, they ain't one of you. They ain't got nothing to do with you. They give a fuck less about you. So the climate change, it's on a couple of different levels. First and foremost, the climate change is that the people are starting to get wise to what the clowns have been doing. Second of all, the atomic structure of things is changing. The energy is heating up. I know this. I know that part of it just from monitoring Kabbalistic websites. That's why 2017, 2018 is so important. And that's why I showed you that video with the yellow cake. You need that for atomic fusion. Whatever it is that needs that atomic fusion needs that yellow cake. So you see where Glenn Beck and all of this comes in. These fuckers are just using us. That's all. So I'm not playing favorites. I'm not going to play sides with the Jewish thing, because everything they've done to themselves. It's got nothing to do with whether you like them or not, or you believe they're chosen. No, they believe they're chosen. I don't think they are. I think that's a nice story, but until you tell us the rest of the story, we don't know if you're chosen or not. So you only told us your version of some silly bullshit that you gave to some other people who tricked us into believing that you were chosen. Not the fact that you can even show me anything that says that you are. It's just that you're saying it. So the fact that you have the clowns like this running around spewing this kind of shit and tricking people tells me you're probably not chosen. You're probably condemned. 40 years to cross a desert. Maybe it took you 40 years as Jews in space to get here. So that's climate change.